Michelle Gardner,
Yep.
Arizona Republic. Coach, you talked after the game about how you were disappointed in what you, in yourself more
Yep.
than anything else. Tell me about, did that kind of light a fire under you? I bet you couldn't wait to get at it today.
Yeah, no, I mean, I watched, I went home and I think I drove my wife crazy because I stayed up most of the night watching it, grading. I usually just watch it real quick to see what I don't remember from the game, but I started in on the detail work right there because it was annoying myself. Like I said, players win games, coaches don't win games. And if they're not ready and prepared, then it's the coaching during the week. It's something that we didn't do to have them at their most ready moment. And I'll go down saying that forever because I truly believe that. I mean, you got to give players the best opportunity. I thought going in, the game plan, from what we've done the first 3 weeks of the season, there was a lot of stunts that were going to work with that stuff, and we were running those things early. On the front side of some of those things, they were cutting off our linemen where they were cut blocking them, which the first 3 weeks of the season, they were doing the same thing. We were running through them. We weren't. And so you can take two roles. You can beat your head against the wall and tell them to keep doing it, or you can try and find something that's going to give them a little bit better chance. And so we made some adjustments to give them a little bit better chance of some of the things. We didn't change what we were doing, we changed how we were doing it. And in the second half, they got a little bit better at it. But when you make some of those adjustments, if you haven't practiced them over and over, their block reactions and stuff becomes different. So our pass rush became absolutely zero. With a four-man rush for the first part, the first 3 games, we got enough pressure on him to get him either out of the pocket or for them to throw the ball where we were in coverage. We changed, instead of some of our games, we did some stuff straight ahead where we were able to slow up the run inside there. Our first down defense was pretty good. There was a lot of second and longs. Our second down defense was terrible. Then when we get to third and short, if 3rd and 3 or plus, they were a very heavy pass. They were doing some stuff with the fly sweep, so we adjusted for that. But now our pass rush, because we're not running our games and stuff the same, it was non-existent. And then we panic a couple times. We come out of coverage. I mean, we give up the 2 long balls. One of them, the corner gets beat at the line of scrimmage. That's going to happen. That's ball. I mean, we're going to give some of those up. The second one, the one in the second half touchdown, it's a 2nd and 20. We're in great position. Their guy makes a better play than our guy. I thought we were going to intercept that ball. And those 21 points, we come out of coverage on the other one in the first half. The second drive, we come out of coverage, which we hadn't done. We did some out of characteristic things that we'd done. And those 21 points are the difference in the game. And so if they're doing things uncomfortable, we didn't coach them good enough during the week. I firmly believe that. We're not trying not to coach them right, but if they don't get if they're not playing well, then we didn't give them their best opportunity because we've got good players, and players win games.
Part of that has to do with them both the visiting defense and the home offense has the benefit of a quiet crowd?
I think there's some to that. Like I said a couple weeks ago before we were getting ready to go up to Michigan State, we never have to worry about getting ready for crowd noise, whether it's home or away. The crowd noise, we feed off of it. We do a lot of hand signals. On the road, they're never loud when the opposing defense is out there because they're cheering on their offense, and then the offense can do this stuff and they calm down. So that's never a factor for us. I think a good defense travels well because your offense, if you can run the ball, you shorten the game. That's at any level. If you watch the UCLA Washington State game, 67-63, they weren't running the ball in that game. It wasn't short. There was an hour left when we got done playing. When you shorten the game down, depending on the road, and that's one of Coach Everything's, and I think our offense has done a good job of doing that stuff, setting that stuff up. If we're on the sideline watching them, when I'm like this, watching Rob and them work, they ain't scoring points and they ain't getting yards. Play good defense like that. Now, you got to be able to score points in today's world because everybody else is going to score points. Were we going to hold every team to 7? I was hoping so, but it didn't work out that way. They went down on the first drive on Saturday, okay? The very first play of the game, they throw a screen out there. Kobe makes a great play, okay? The second play, defenses that we ran the first 3 weeks, our nose guard's right where he's supposed to be. He takes a peek around the other side, and that ball hits right where he was, and they get about 8 yards. Now it's 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2. It's a lot easier to call 3rd and 7 than it is 3rd and 2. You have a lot more tricks in your bag for those things. Their plays become a lot more dynamic from 3rd and 7. Their protections, they have to do a whole bunch of different things. You have the advantage. Of the first 2 weeks on 3rd down, we were pretty good. Okay, we were about 28% the first 2 weeks. We were playing with better players. This should be that way. Okay, the last 2 weeks, we are overall for the whole season we're 42%. The 10 of 17 that we were on Saturday, 11 of those 17 were 3rd and 3 or shorter. That means we're not playing very good second down defense. First down defense on Saturday night was actually really good. We didn't have very many 2nd and shorts. When you're calling defenses at 2nd and 7, it's a lot. It's kind of easy to call defenses at 2nd and 7 because their tendencies become a lot smaller. When you get from 2nd to 4 and 6 on most people, and we kind of decipher this during the week when I'm breaking down the film, is there a big difference between 2nd and 3rd to 6, 2nd 4 to 6? Where does that number become multiple? And there is human nature, you get tendencies. You do what you're comfortable with. When the things are going fast, you do. Part of the reason, and I was taught this, that you don't have a call sheet, I don't call it with a call sheet, that's the way I was brought up in this business, is if you fit everything up in your mind. Now you have to be able to memorize a lot of stuff. Because I remember I tried, when I start on Monday night, I go down in distance, I go start with 1st and 10, I go 2nd 7 plus, I go 2nd either 4 to 6, 2nd 4 to 7, depending on what their tendencies are. And I have all those formations by those things in my mind so that I can know what I want to dial up. And I don't have it on a sheet, because if you put 6 calls on a sheet that's a certain down and distance, you can start building tendencies. We try and change things up on them. That's why we've been successful, because we can do a lot of different things and you form less tendencies. And then I check every week, okay, what am I doing? Is there any tendencies that somebody's going to see? Well, when it's 2nd and 2, those are hard defenses to call because they can take way shots, because 3rd and 2 is still a very large successful rate. Okay, our second down defense wasn't very good on Saturday night. So a lot of those, like I said, 11 of the 17 were 3rd and 3 or shorter. Other than the 3rd and 14 on the very second drive, anything that was above 3rd and 5, we stopped on Saturday night. So that means we have to be better on 2nd down. But what were we doing on 2nd down that didn't give us that chance to be successful? Some of it, we weren't being as aggressive as we were the first 3 weeks. If you watch the tape and you watch the line of scrimmage, you can tell early on in a game by which way the line of scrimmage is moving on every snap. And it's a matter of a yard or two. If it's coming this way, it's going to be a long day. If it's going back, you've got a chance to make that running back make miss. On the first down, we were good. 2nd down, we weren't. And so as I go through it, there's a good chance that it was some of the less aggressive on me, okay? I'm not going to give it out so it'll make those people work a little bit that watch these press conferences. But we can fix those things, okay? We didn't give them the best chance to be successful, in my opinion. That's on the coaches.
Coach, good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. So the pass rush, okay, there were problems there. I was more concerned watching Montez get out of the pocket, and then it seemed like the fire drill on the back end was where you guys kind of got tripped up. The receivers were able to get open when the quarterback scrambled. Did I see that right? And if so, what are you doing to address it?
You did, and that's what I addressed in the first part. So them cutting off some of our stunts, and we didn't react real well to it. So what we did is we changed how we're attacking. We're going straight ahead. We didn't work on, that was some of the stuff that we made adjustments to, that 3 or 4 years into the scheme, when you've got a whole arsenal of tricks in your bag that we ran over and over, you can dial something up that you haven't practiced and you don't have to draw it up. Those guys just understand what we're doing, and we will get there. We will get there, and then when you do that, you have a whole plethora of stuff other than what's on your game sheet that you practice all week. Well, we're not to that point yet. We're getting closer. Some of our younger guys that are starting to play with more experience, they're kind of understand that we can call some stuff that we did last year that we haven't practiced or that we haven't talked about since the spring. They can execute it a lot better. Well, Saturday when we were trying to fix some of those things and how we were attacking, we're up there drawing it on a dry erase board for them. I'm going back between the secondary with the linebackers, with Coach Kane and the D-line. I'm making sure that we're all on the same page so that if we screw something up, it's not a big, humongous play. It's not an 80-yard touchdown. Make them go if we're going to mess things up. Some of the stuff that we did going straight ahead, well, now if you don't work on the normal block reaction, you're not going to work to contain as fast. And we did a terrible job of containing Montez. There was a couple times he scrambled to his right, which is a lot better going to his right than he is his left, okay? We could have overloaded the left side and probably should have done that a little bit more at times because he was not going to run with the football. He didn't want to. I mean, there was a couple opportunities that he could have got some big-time yards, and he's looking for somebody to come down. we characteristically, the one on the very first touchdown on the second drive, it's a third and 6. Kobe comes up, he's sitting there in the flat on where the mesh route's coming across. Kalen's chasing the quarterback. Kobe panics a little bit and comes to get Montez. Kalen's going to chase him out of bounds. It's going to be 4th down and 5, and they're going to have to either settle for a long field goal or they're going to go for it. We come out of coverage, and all he has to do is loft it over our head. That happened twice. The second one, we were coming back across. We were able to knock the ball down. The safety came out or the corner came up. Safety rolled over the top, and we knocked it out. On the very last, on their field goal drive, the winning field goal drive, we have a 3rd and 5 at the 45-yard line. Same thing. We designed, because they hit us on the fly sweeps a couple times. We had put a defense in. We had called a defense that stopped the fly sweep. We didn't see that anymore. But now we've got a guy that what he's doing on the backside to cut everything off. If they do hand off the zone, he doesn't work to contain. It's a guy that a year from now will have no problem doing that. If he does that, if he comes to the left side, Montez doesn't have a place to go to roll out there. And now, that guy's jerseys probably didn't even need to be washed. We didn't knock him down on one time. Okay. Some of that was the 3rd and 3s. You can't be as aggressive on your stunts because you open up running lanes. They have an opportunity to run the ball. You can go all out and send everybody, which for the next 9 games, you're probably going to see some of that. Because if we can't win one-on-one battles with a 4-man pass rush, we're going to get to the quarterback. It's going to be some dynamic stuff, but we're going to get to him. Now we got to see if we can tackle him.
Adam Noel, Inferno Intel coach. A couple late game injuries in that game Saturday. And how would you assess the team's depth on defense heading into this weekend? And do you have confidence in those young guys stepping up if those players are out?
I do. I think we've got, like I said earlier in the preseason, especially at safety, Cam Phillips, dislocated elbow on Saturday night. His status will be game time. I would be shocked if he could play just because that's a pretty traumatic deal. Willie Hartz is equally as talented as Cam Phillips. He hasn't played. He's played probably in the first 4 games. He probably has 60 snaps total. Hard to replace a guy that now Cam doesn't have a whole lot of snaps. He played the 4 games that he had last year. Actually, only played in 3, and now he's played 3 this year. So he's got 6 games under his belt. He's played at a really high level. He's probably been play for play our most productive player as far as tackles, pass breakups, being in coverage, doing the right things. So it'll definitely hurt not having him out there on Saturday. Willie is very talented and smart. So he'll be in a lot of the same places. Now when the lights are on, is he going to make the plays? We'll find out. The whole injury, beat up, I mean, I don't buy into that. I think if you're not beat up at this point, then you ain't playing hard enough. It's a violent, mean game. You need to throw your body around and have zero regard for it. And we've got some guys that have nicks and bruises, and you can manage those guys in practice. I mean, the outside of ankles and knees, everything else, if you get blood flowing to it, you're going to be better. When you run around, when you make them run, you don't have to put them into heavy contact, but they have to move around so that the blood's flowing. Those things, we can manage all those things. A guy like an elbow, there's nothing you can do there. It's a pain tolerance or it's a safety issue. Is he going to go out there and is there a risk that he's going to hurt himself worse, or can he protect himself and play with it? And then you got to decide, is a guy with a dinged up elbow better than a guy that's healthy? In a lot of cases, that is the case. They're that good and that dynamic. Tyler Johnson on Saturday night was a game time decision. He wasn't able to go. So that doesn't mean, it doesn't mean we shouldn't play good. That means give them a better chance to be successful. Now, we've got to win some one-on-one matchups in a 4-man rush. Our D linemen have to win one-on-one matchups. You rush 4, they have 5 O linemen plus a back to block most of the time. 1 or 2 of those guys is going to be one-on-one. And we're not winning those matchups right now. Our D line's got to get better at that. We're not winning. Or you've got to give them a better chance by doing some exotic things in coverage. It's stunting. Now, I think we can cover them. I thought early on in the game on Saturday, I was a lot disappointed in the aggressiveness of our DBs. I think they were trying to feel their way into the speed of the game with what some of the plays that we gave up last year. I think that shows a little bit of a lack of confidence in yourself. We'll build on that. They'll get better because if they want to have the right attitude, They don't worry about it. It's the faceless opponent deal. Doesn't matter if that guy's 4-4. If I do my technique right, I'm going to dominate him. Every once in a while, they're going to get beat. Ball is ball, and that's fine. But if you keep beating at them and you keep beating at them, guess what? You're going to win more of the battles, and you're going to come out on top. And we did not do that. I thought we were tentative on Saturday night. We weren't as aggressive as we were the first three weeks, and it showed.
Coach Koki Riley from Intel. Coach, I was just wondering if you thought the size of the Colorado receivers sort of affected the way you defended the pass game last week.
I don't. I think the second and 20 in the second half that they scored for a touchdown, the corner is in great shape. He goes to play the ball and doesn't make a play on the ball. Their guy made a better play than our guy. We're in perfect shape to intercept that ball, and we just don't make the play. Okay? Those are plays that a dominant football team makes. We didn't make that play. Chenault, he got a fly sweep early on for a 22-yard gain. We come underneath the block, and then our safety's not as aggressive coming down to go take the shot at the legs. I mean, we missed the most tackles that we missed on Saturday night than we have all season long, and that was a complete. We were not aggressive enough. They were not flying down in there mean and angry. I don't think they were scared. I think they were a little uncomfortable early. I don't think their size had anything to do with it, and then Chenault didn't play. And that affected us a little bit because some of the things that we had done to prevent him from getting big plays. And then now we're adjusting. We're talking about it. Hey, forget all that stuff forget those adjustments that we don't need to. We're good. Just play our game. And probably screwed him up in practice because we did some stuff that we were going to take him away that we didn't need to do. And then he ended up not playing. And we tried to come back in the third quarter. He's a good player. I hope he comes back for his sake. But he wasn't able to go. He played 2 plays in the third, and he wasn't able to go anymore. But I don't think the size affected us. Our DBs are plenty big enough.
Alex, Simon, Cronkite News. What does the short week do specifically on the defensive end in terms of trying to get ready for a game Friday night?
Short week as far as you have to game plan you lose a day game planning. We're at the point right now where you have to decide what is it worth to add, or are you going to play. The worst thing we can do, and maybe we had them a little confused. I mean, we didn't add in a bunch of new stuff. But if they're confused, they're not going to play fast. And the way we do things around here, you have to play at full speed to be at your best. Short week, you don't have that same opportunity because you lose the whole day of meeting time to talk them through those things. So you got to make your game plan a little bit more simple. And then the rest aspect side of it. Playing football games every Saturday, a 7-day break, there's a lot that you can get done in treatment in one day. Those guys, the guys that are really dedicated and it's really important to them, they go to class, and then they get up here early in the morning. I think treatment starts at 6 a.m. Some of those guys were beating Jerry's down at 5:30, 5:35. Some of them are scraping in here at 7 o'clock. And when you have too many doing that, then you've got issues. We don't. We have most of those guys, anybody that's nicked up that really is important to them, they get in there because they do different exercises with them. They do different things with them on machines. They got game changers, ice machines. I mean, you name it. We've got everything in those magic beans that they have back there. You lose time with that day. They'll come back in the afternoon. There was a bunch of guys walking in this hallway out here that, where are you going? Going to get something to eat. And then what are you doing? I mean, I ask them all the time. I'm like this hovering parent, man. I'm like that helicopter dad. Where are you going? I walk around on campus. I mean, sometimes in the afternoon, you got to get out of there just to clear your head for a minute. I mean, you start watching stuff, and I'm monotonous. I mean, I'll sit there and I'll stare at a computer screen for hours. And I'll write it down on my little yellow pad, and then I'll rewind it and I'll write it down, tick, tick, tick. And every once in a while, I mean, I'll start thinking some crazy thoughts, and then about what we can do exotically on defense. I mean, the split's all 11, and somebody will talk me off a ledge and all that good stuff, because we might need to get some pressure the way we're pass rushing. But so I go on campus, and I want to be around them to see what they're doing, and they'll see me and they'll be like, oh God, he's on the prowl again. What's he doing? Where are you guys at? What are you doing? Let's go eat. Let's go whatever. And the good ones, I can go down here in the training room when they're not in class, and they're getting just little bit of rehab. So you lose that day. That's what you lose. But when you get your tail whooped like that, you want to get back out there as fast as you can so you can redeem yourself. And today's practice, the energy was good from those guys. And usually on a day like this, the energy has to come from the coaches because it's a short time. This is usually their day off. They are not used to working on Mondays. They're used to going to class and getting treatment and eating. Well, now we had to ramp it up. We started early this morning with our meetings, regular schedule. They came in at 6 for treatment. The energy, I think, shows that you have a chance to be successful because I think their pride was really smashed on Saturday night. And there's 2 ways you come back. You come back feeling sorry for yourself and wait for somebody to tell you that everything's going to be okay. Well, guess what? It ain't unless you fix it. And so they came back with the right attitude. And the right attitude will give you a chance. And if we play aggressive and fast on Saturday, then we'll have a chance. If we don't, well, we'll see.
Hi, Coach. Little off the wall here, but what have you seen in the development of, could we call them your veteran sophomores like a
No
Merlin
doubt.
Robinson and a Darian Butler, and just how have you seen them develop just between their freshman years and to where they are at this point in the season in their sophomore season?
I think those 2 in particularly, and you can add Ashari to that mix. They were so good towards the end of last year, and they did some things statistically that we have more players that are involved in the system now, that understand where their fits need to be, that they're making more plays, and those guys don't have to make all the plays. In the first 3 weeks, we had if you look at the tackle chart, we had a couple guys that were up there in double digits, but you have a bunch of guys going down that list, and it starts about 6. The number starts about 6, and you've got 6-5, 6-5, 5-5, 5-5, 5-4, 4-4, 3, as opposed to last year, it was 14, 18. I mean, it was a significant number, and then a bunch of 1-1-1s. Well, when you have that thing spread out better, that means they're doing 2 things. They're understanding the scheme better, they're fitting better, they're pursuing to the ball better. So statistically, those guys aren't as good right now. I don't believe that they are not as productive. Merlin and Darian, they have an ability right now. We don't have those guys at a designated position. One of them's not running the mic. One of them's not running the outside backer. Between Kalen and Darian and Merlin, all 3 of those guys know all 3 spots. And so to create some tendency breakers from play to play, those guys are lining up in different spots than they did last year. They're being productive. Their numbers don't show that they're being as productive. They're fitting in the right spots. Now, last year in game 1, we had 9 sacks. Okay, we don't this year. Partly because the first 2 games, the teams that we played couldn't move the ball against us successfully. They could not consistently move the ball. We were playing back. We were rushing 4. We were getting a decent enough pass rush. They were throwing it into coverage, and we were getting stops. On Saturday a week ago against Michigan State, we gave up a couple of 3rd and longs that in that game right there, our 3rd down declined. The disappointment in that game was the 3rd and longs that we gave up. We gave up 3 of them that were 3rd and 10 or greater. That's terrible defense in my opinion. And we have a guy there to make a play, and instead of knocking the ball out, they're catch tackling. Okay. Saturday, it was all the 3rd and 2s. Those guys, the productivity of those guys, they're not getting the sacks because they're not in one spot all the time doing the same thing, but they're playing as consistent, and we're playing better on defense because of their ability to move around. If you left them in the same spot every time, are they going to block them better? Probably. Nobody knew about Merlin Robertson last year. They all identify him now. And now it's kind of like trying to play Where's Waldo every play to line him up. Same thing with Darian, same thing with Kalen. And we had been, up until Saturday with the aggressive, we had been very difficult to diagnose. I don't know that they diagnosed it better. I thought they were more aggressive. The more aggressive team's going to win 90% of the time. You're going to have to get lucky the 10% that you're not.
Last 4, how Jeff Cheerson and Greg.
What being a double guys, Danny, when you look at the Cal offense, really methodical, maybe not explosive as other teams are going to see that down the road. What are some of the characteristics define that?
I think they are Coach Wilcox's personality. He's one of the great defensive minds in this game right now in college football. Him and Coach DeRuiter are doing a great job over there. So they're playing really good defense, and they're not messing the game up on offense. Now they're still explosive. They've gone over 400 yards twice this year. Garber, the quarterback, he's getting a lot more comfortable back there. Last year, they did some stuff where it was a quick 1, 2, tuck it, go, get out. And this year, I mean, if you watch him on Saturday, he's sitting back there like a postured veteran, okay? So if we play like we did Saturday night and give him the same time Montez did, we're going to make him look like a Heisman candidate because you can only cover him for so often, for so long, okay? So that means we're gonna stunt, we're gonna blitz, and I promise you our boys will be a lot more aggressive this week than they were. That's the biggest disappointment from it. They have a really good running back, Chris Brown. He's a San Diego kid, very familiar with him from El Camino High School. He's very physical and downhill. The quarterback does a great job reading all the RPOs. I think last year he was a little bit indecisive on, he had predetermined what he was going to do with the football. This year I think he's doing a really good job, especially with his rides. He's reading it. He's checking out the line. He's checking out second level, first level, and they're reading multiple players. So he has a better feel for where they need to fit the ball. I think they have the receivers, they have a speedster, and then they have two guys like Michigan State that are bigger and will go get the football and will compete for it. And then they've got two really, really good looking tight ends. I mean, they're 6'5", they block well in line of scrimmage, but they use them in the passing game more than most teams do. And so we'll see a bunch of that on Saturday. I'm sure we'll see them line up in quads and throw one of those guys a slant like Michigan State did. See if we stop it early. If we don't, we'll get a heavy dose of it. If we do, then they'll go back to what they normally do. We're going to get a little bit more empty than we've seen the first 3 weeks. And they major in that, and they're pretty good at it. He knows where to get the ball. And then you have to worry about him because sucker's fast. And shoot, he might be like Gumby. If you watch the game on Saturday, he got bent up and torqued, and his knee looked like it was just completely destroyed. And I felt really bad for the kid. I mean, they take him off. They come out looking at him. They take him off. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. I mean, I hate. I mean, as violent and mean as I want this game being played, I love that stuff. I mean, that's why football is so fun. But I don't like seeing people get hurt, especially when it's stuff like that. And I felt so bad for the kid. And then 2 plays later, he runs out like nothing. I'm like, well, maybe they got more magic beans than we do. My goodness, because that was awful. And then about 3 plays later, he gets rolled up again from the backside on the exact same knee. And he don't even come off the field. This time he pops up, so he's like a superhero. He's like the Flash. I mean, it's something special about him. So thank God he didn't get hurt. He's a really dynamic player, and he makes the competition more fun. So they're very explosive, but they play to the personality of their head coach. They're physical. They're downhill, and I mean, it's a great challenge ahead.
Given what both these defenses are capable of doing, Cal and ASU, do you think this could be sort of a Michigan State type of game?
Very much so. I think our offense is going to take that challenge, and so is ours. Theirs. I mean, I mean, I told our kids this morning, and I hope it stays that way. I mean, everybody's talking about how great their defense is. We just gave up 34 points, so ain't nobody going to be talking about you guys finally. Well, let's don't let them forget who we're trying to be. Don't be pretenders. I mean, going into the Michigan State game, nobody had any idea how we were going to play, how that game was going to turn out. It turned out 10-7. We made enough plays on defense to hold them to 1 less point. We did not do that on Saturday night. So both teams, the defenses believe they're pretty good. If our kids believe they're pretty good and they play aggressive and fast, it'll be a great football game. Now, both defenses play really good, and they might score a whole bunch of points. I have no idea. College football is crazy. I never thought I'd see a 67-63 game, and I mean, that was crazy. It'll be fun. Our kids will be ready. I promise you that.
Just listening to you talk about some of the issues on Saturday, you know, you mentioned the lack of aggression, you mentioned some out-of-character things, some getting beat on certain matchups. But when you looked at the film, did you find yourself saying, this isn't us, this was an out-of-character night?
I don't want to say an out-of-character night. I don't think we were as aggressive. When that is the case, and I truly believe it, I said it on Saturday night, you have to look at yourself. You have to look at the coaching side of it. Did we do too much? Did we try and were we it's so detailed that we turned them into robots? Because if you put too much information on their plate, they're like these computers that they build so that they blow up on. You have to buy new ones. They're smart the way they build them. We do that stuff to our kids. We overload their plate. Their system explodes, and now they don't play worth a darn. And when a kid plays, the worst thing you can be on a football field, and I think this is worse than any four-letter word, any nasty. You call somebody soft, they're taking your man card. They are raiding your house. I mean, they're destroying everything. That to me, I thought we were soft on Saturday. And when you have a football team that's soft, then you got to look at yourself in the mirror, because you ain't doing something right to prepare them right. And I won't make excuses. You can't have an off night. When I sit up here and preach about all the stuff we want to do and everything's great and you play this and you give up 7 points and we talk about being dominant, then you can't have an off night. That's coaching. That's the coach's fault. So fix it. And I stayed up all Saturday night, stayed here. I mean, we lost the day of preparation, so left here. I couldn't even tell you what time it was when we left here last night. Got back here this morning at 5 o'clock and solved the problem. Did we solve it? We'll find out on Friday night. But I'll tell you what, they will be amped up. They'll be ready to run into a brick wall. We'll see. We'll see who the most violent team is on Friday night. The team that plays the hardest, the longest, is going to win. We didn't do that Saturday.
Final question for Greg.
Are you doing anything, Coach, to make sure that, because the games count more now, that the guys aren't pressing, that the guys aren't trying too hard, given that it's Pac-12 play?
I think you do that through preparation. Yeah, I think game plan's got to be simple enough that they understand it, but you have to have enough wrinkles that they can't just pick you apart and dissect you. And you can't, this time of the year, when you're good on defense, you don't have to add a lot of things. You add a stunt, maybe one, but when you're wholesale changing, trying to do coverages, you confuse them and then they don't play fast. I talked about this the day I took this job. You're going to play hard, you're going to play fast, and if you screw things up and you're playing with that tempo, you've still got a chance to be successful. When you slow them down, you don't have a chance. And this time of year, you just got to make sure that they're detailed in what they do. We do a ton of walkthroughs around here. We have plenty of meeting time around here, so that we can give them the right information. They've got to be on the same page. And then to be really productive and successful, you have to practice it. We try to do some things that we hadn't practiced, that I truly believe in. And part of the reason that my former school, that we were so good for a long period of time, and they're still really good on defense this year, is we could look at stuff from 2014, don't have to show them 1 ounce of it on tape. I can go through the Rolodex in my brain, and some of the stuff that myself and Coach Long did last year and the previous years. If we're doing something in the game and they have some success doing something and we didn't practice it, I can look down at him and say, hey, in 2015 we did this against BYU and their 12 personnel stuff, okay? Or we did this against Stanford and their 22 personnel stuff. We can call this stuff. And then the kids, you've done it enough time over a period of time that they have no problem. Well, Saturday, the block reaction wasn't good enough off of the stuff that we made adjustments to. The game plan going in was not different than what it was the first 3 weeks. I'm a firm believer, if you have something that you're good at, make somebody prove they can beat you. They did a good job with how they blocked some of our stuff, and I don't think our guys reacted very well. Were they confused? I don't think it was confusion. I think they drove down the field, they scored that touchdown. I think we panicked a little bit, and we didn't overcome that soon enough. In the second half, they didn't have nearly as many yards. We gave up one play, that the 10-yard now. We lost the game. We don't make that play, we lose the game. We don't give up 10 points, we don't lose. Our offense scored plenty enough points, and I thought Rob and those guys did a great job of keeping their guys believing, because all the stuff that they were struggling through, they were like a machine early on times during that game. They're going to stumble at times during the game. I thought Jaden throws his first interception of the year. Okay, we're down there, we're driving, we got some momentum, we get the ball down to the 30, he throws an interception. We go out there and get our 3 and out and give him the ball back. We were able to overcome that, but we didn't make enough plays in the second half to eventually win the game. We had not had a problem giving up big plays and recovering. They went boom, 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 scored a touchdown. It was the first, they were a little razzled. We were a little frazzled. And at that point in time, that becomes coaching. How do you can get after them and question them, sorry. You can have a whole bunch of fun now. Now I don't cuss them and demean them, but I can have some colorful language without saying bad words. And you can beat them down and you can do all those things and you can challenge their manhood, okay? That was not the time on Saturday night because they were a little bit frazzled. Okay? So how do you fix them? We made some adjustments. They didn't handle them very well. Now we go out, the very first adjustment we make, a call that we hadn't run, we come out the very first play of the second drive and we hit them for a 5-yard loss because we stunted a safety from depth. We hadn't shown much of that. They hadn't accounted for it. We hit them in the backfield. The very next play, they run a screen. We have one of our screen defenses on. Chase runs a great 2nd and 15. That was a big screen down for him. We call defense that we're going to be able to defend the screen. Chase makes a great play, submarines the guy just like he's supposed to, and now it's 3rd and 14. We call a defense that up until that point, we had been 100% successful, so maybe there's a tendency, okay? Did they beat the play because of the defense? No. We got 2 guys that make assignment mistakes uncharacteristically that one of them was supposed to cover the back, one of them was supposed to rush the quarterback. Well, one of them drops into coverage and the other one halfway rushes, goes to the back, and then he halfway to the quarterback halfway. So Montes goes dink, and then we miss a tackle. And we miss a tackle because we're not aggressive. We run up there and break down. I've never in my life said break down. They know I don't say break down. That means they weren't 100% confident in their ability to stop them yet. They had to try and get the feel of the game. Well, we give up a 3rd and 15, and then now we're starting to press a little bit. We're starting to panic, okay? We get down to the 3rd and 6 where they roll out and we don't get great pressure. We squeeze the pocket down enough that he has to scramble out. Okay, we have a safety that comes off the edge. We're playing a form of cover 2 behind it. He rolls outside of him. The safety's chasing him down. Is going to knock him out of bounds. It's going to be short. It's going to be 4th down. That's the punt. And then Colby comes out at the corner, comes out of coverage. It's uncharacteristic. We panicked. We frazzled a little bit in that moment of the game. You can't do that if you want to be a dominant defense. We've got to find a way to overcome that. And so, continuing to get them right. Now, when we got them down at halftime, we were able to show them exactly what we want. Everybody settles down, and then they come out and they execute it, and we get a few 3 and outs. We get our offense, they get the ball. We were never able, when we gave the offense never took the shot to get ahead, and we never gave them the ball. If we didn't get ahead, we didn't give them another opportunity. We had an opportunity to interception where Darian Butler reads a screen. He does a great job, comes back to him, hits him right in the face, and he drops it. Those 5 or 6 plays are the difference in a football game. If we don't come out of coverage and we make the 2 plays and we hold them to field goals, it's a double-digit win. And that's what it should be. That's why I felt so strongly after the game on Saturday night that we screwed it up. The offense did plenty enough to win the game. We screwed it up. So we've got to coach them better. Players win games. If they don't perform at their highest, it's coaching. I will go to my grave saying that. That's what I was taught. It's what I believe. And I think in the long run of it, when the players know that you have all the faith in the world and you believe in them, they're going to play harder for you. They're going to try better for you. They're going to come back today with a really upset attitude to get better. And I think they believe in what we're doing. And I told them after the game on Saturday night, I'm within the locker room. I said, hey, get yourselves ready to go. Blame that one on me. I mean, if you guys feel bad about yourself, we screwed up the game. And they were like, no, Coach, we didn't play good enough. I said, well, good for you guys. But you know what? We didn't give you the best chance. So they're in it together. They're in it with us. But I'll go to my grave. I honestly believe that. If the kids don't play to their highest potential, then you didn't get them ready. Now, they can overcome you on some calls, but we made too many mistakes and we weren't aggressive. So either we were doing too much, which I'm not sure I believe, or we didn't give them the best chance. They weren't aggressive enough. They didn't believe in it. Well, I promise you they'll be aggressive enough on Friday night. we'll like I said, if we have to blitz 11 to get aggression, we'll blitz 11 and we'll see what happens. He's either going to throw it up for a fade and let him run under it, or he's going to be dead. One of the two. I mean, we'll find out. But there won't be a lack of playing hard. I can promise you that.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you guys. Yep. Thank you.